Let's do this. Oh my gosh. Hey guys, it is time for yet another book review, and it's going to be basically a rave, and it is for The Dead and the Buried by Kim Harrington. I had huge high hopes for this book because I loved Clarity and Perception by her. That's a great series. If you guys are interested in that, definitely check it out. It also has like that creepy kind of feel to it, and this book blew me away. This book is about a teenage girl named Jade, and she and her family recently moved to their new house, and she has a little brother named Colby, and her father and stepmom. Her mother died of cancer when she was 9 years old. Jade is really happy to have moved because she came from an extremely small town consisting of about 30 kids in her entire grade, and she's really excited to have a brand new high school, a bigger high school, more things to do, more people, and basically the chance to kind of reinvent herself and make new friends. She notices that her little brother Colby is kind of acting a little strange, not like his normal self, and when she asks him about it, he mentions a glimmering girl in his room. And at first, Jade thinks that he's just joshing her or it's just an imaginary friend because he is 5 years old and very imaginative, and so she thinks that at first he's just kind of having an imaginary friend. She thinks that the move was tough on him and the stress of everything going on, that he's just making it up. The kids in her school start talking, and Jade decides to do a little bit of detective work herself, and she realizes that the house is actually a murder house, and the cause of death is from unnatural causes. And of course she naturally flips out, and she learns that the girl's name is Kayla Sloan, and she was pushed or fell down the flight of stairs. Then strange things start to happen in the house. It starts to get really cold. Colby gets a little bit more withdrawn. Her jewelry box little lid is open. She picks out an outfit for school, and she can't decide which necklace to wear, and then when she leaves the room and comes back, there's a necklace laying on her outfit that she chose. Just little things like that that kind of make her think if it's a ghost, or is she just thinking that she did something and she didn't? Is it her mind playing tricks on her? And she's just curious about what's going on. Of course, there's the mysterious boy with the piercing blue eyes that we all love. Jade, is very drawn to him, as we all are. She wants to know what's going on with him, and she senses that he's broken, and she wants to fix him. She is curious about his story. As the book gets further into it, she realizes that Kayla was indeed murdered, and she is basically forced to figure out who did it. So enough about the synopsis. I adored this book. It was so good. I read it in like a day and a half, and it's relatively thick, but it went by so quick. I remember reading the last like 30 or so pages so sad because I knew it was going to end. I think I deliberately closed it and did some other things so it wouldn't end. I loved it that much. I love the idea of the dead prom queen seeking kind of revenge on the people that pretended to adore her. I think that is such a great idea. And of course, Jade does have a little 5-year-old brother, and kids, I think, are naturally creepy. When you add in that element, it just makes it all the better. It amps it up like 500 notches. And one thing that I noticed about this book that I really liked is that the kids weren't superficial. They had some depth to them, and they were after scholarships, and they were wanting to play soccer, and they were athletic, and they were, intelligent and cared about their schooling and their grades. And they weren't just party hardy, have sex, drink, the typical, well, I shouldn't say that. The more typical side of the books that have the popular kids as the jocks and the cold, mean people. And this book wasn't like that. Kane, who is one of the boys in the book, is a jock, but he's actually very sweet. And, well, maybe not sweet. He means well, I should say. And Faye, who is kind of like the popular girl, she's mean, but she's also kind, and she feels bad about being mean, if that makes sense. And I thought that that was a really great thing to have, because not all teenagers are mean and spirited and evil and just psychotic and really vindictive, and they're not all like that. And I really, 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 really liked that they had more than one dimension to them, and they cared about more than just one thing, which I really liked. Going along with that, I loved Jade's character. And you know me, it's pretty hard for me to like a female heroine sort of in books. I find it hard to relate to them because they are very girly, and I'm not necessarily girly, but it's kind of hard to relate to them. And I adored the fact that Jade did see this boy. She was intrigued by him, but she wasn't overcome by him. She didn't want to just drop everything and make googly eyes at him all day, like a lot of books in this realm, like the paranormal fantasy type books. It wasn't their eyes met and they knew that they were destined for each other, and it was insta-love and anything like that. It was completely not like that. As she realizes that Kayla's ghost is in her house, she realizes that she needs to do more than just sit around. She becomes very proactive about getting this ghost away from the house, because Kayla's ghost is sort of tormenting her little brother, and her little brother means a lot to her, and she kind of takes on this second mother role with him. She knew that she had a job to do, and it wasn't just relying on this boy to rescue her, which I loved. Another characteristic that I really loved about Jade is her interest in the gemstones. I thought that was perfect. I thought it was interesting, and it made me want to kind of look into it and see what other gemstones were out there, which is a characteristic that I love about books. I want to finish the book and go more into what they were interested in, to learn more and to become a bigger person in knowledge-wise. And I felt like that was a great idea. And I love the fact that Jade liked to go through her gemstones and kind of to calm down and repeat what they're for. And I loved that she wore a different piece of jewelry with different outfits depending on her mood and what the gemstone was used for, what she needed from the gemstone. I thought that that was amazing, and I thought it was so cool. And like I said, it made me want to be interested in that sort of thing, which again, I love about books like that. I want to be able to expand off of the book, and to be able to take that piece of information from this book and direct it towards something else is lovely. Going along with relationships in this book, when Jade meets Alexa, who is kind of like her friend, you know how they always have like a signature best friend when they move to wherever they are. Alexa didn't become her best friends for life and have sleepovers and parties and paint each other's nails. Alexa was actually very distant and calculated and reserved, and she was very driven, whether it was her parents installed in her or not. But she was very proactive at getting her scholarship and getting into this certain school that her parents went into. And she didn't become her best friend for life, and she still had a job to do, and she was still true to herself. She went to the things that Jade asked her to do, but she still was true to herself and didn't stay for longer than she wanted to. And she was a very strong character and very true to herself, which I love. Again, with the characters of Cain and Faye, I loved how they weren't mean, and I think Jade also realizes, as you do as a reader when you read this book, and especially towards the end, that they were just broken. They weren't doing it just because of their parents or what have you. It was just because they had a really crappy time in their life, and they're still hurting from it, as we all do. We all have those experiences, but it doesn't change them as people, or as characters in this case, but in real life, us as people. And I love that aspect of it, that they were still fixable. A lot of characters in books are that way because they're just bad people. They're just really evil and very manipulative, and that's just their personality. But in this book, most of the characters were truly just broken. They needed help, and they didn't know how to fix themselves or how to ask for help. As for the ending, I thought that it was perfect and awesome. I sort of started to kind of suspect who it was when Jade was at the football game, but it still was awesome how each character could have done it. They all had a kind of reason to kill her. And so you just kept guessing and guessing. You're like, I wonder if it was this person because of this, or this happened. And it just made it very interesting, and my mind kept flip-flopping back and forth. But the ending was still great because even though I did sort of suspect who it was, the ending had added elements to it that I wasn't expecting, and I was just like, whoa, that's really cool. And I thought that it was great how it wasn't very predictable, which I loved. I loved the very, very ending with Donovan and Jade. I thought that was perfect and adorable and sweet. The writing in this book was fantastic. It kept me going. It was energetic and mysterious and action-packed and spooky. Oh my God, the parts about Colby. Oh Lord. I had to admit that I tightened my blinds a little bit because I was that freaked out. Kim Harrington's books are the perfect amount of spooky, romance, just the idea, the whodunit idea. There were so many people. I could count right now about 5 different people that I thought could have killed Kayla Sloan. And it's just so good. Another thing I loved about this book, that it wasn't just present day. There was also little excerpts from Kayla Sloan's diary, which I love because it was very interesting to see how she thought and how her mind worked. Kim Harrington had the genius idea to number the characters in Kayla Sloan's diaries. So there was 28, 7, 3. So you had no idea who it was. You started to guess, and after a while you could kind of tell who was who with the storyline, but it was still cool that it wasn't directly like laid out in front of you. You had to guess. Overall, guys, loved this book. 5 out of 5 stars. I would give it more if I could, and I was so sad when it was over. I was like depressed. It took me a while to pick a new book because I just wanted more of this one. I could have read 300 more pages of this easy. You guys really need to read it. It's perfect for the upcoming Halloween, even though it's still sort of far away. But it's perfect anytime. You guys need to read it. The cover is beautiful, as you can see. I'm assuming that's Kayla right there. It was so good. I loved it. It was perfect. I definitely one of my favorite books of this year, possibly ever. Love this book. It's so good, and you guys really, really need to read it. Right now I am reading Meant to Be by Lauren Morrill, and I will say I am loving this book so far. It's cracking me up so bad. It's so funny. I am that far in, and to my credit, I did not bend this. It was already like that, so I thought I might as well stop there because I was reading this at like 4 a.m. So I had to stop. So I was just like, okay, well, there's a mark already there. I might as well just, keep it there. But I did not bend that page. I think that is sacrilegious when you bend pages of a book. I'm going to the store today, so I'm going to try to look at bookmarks and find a legit bookmark because all these scraps of paper, my cat likes to pull them out of my book, and then I can never remember where I'm at in a book, so it's really frustrating. Thank God she's cute because I would just pummel her if she wasn't so freaking cute. Alright guys, that is my rave review of The Dead and the Buried by Kim Harrington. Read that book. I think I would read anything that lady put out. She is my kind of girl. I love it, and you should definitely check it out. Thank you so much for watching, and I'm sure I will have a haul soon. I always do. Here's Dexter. He's not feeling well. He's still sick. I think he has a respiratory infection. You can kind of see it in his face. And he's lost like a pound. Poor baby. So, yeah, anyway, thank you guys so much for watching, and all of my new subscribers, thank you so much. You guys are awesome, and my old subscribers, I love you. You guys are so loyal and amazing, and I will stop blabbering on and let you go. And yeah, we will see you later. Say bye. Bye guys. See you later.